Hey everyone, this is Ed. We're a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network, and this check-in's a little bit different. This is actually a rebroadcast of an episode we did for the Voice Ed Radiothon just a little while back. So it was done live. It was on a single track, so the audio is a little janky, but if you hang in there, it's a great conversation with lots of little rabbit trails and also some good stuff to chew on as you're heading into the school year. So with that said, here we go. You bet. Hello and welcome to the Ed Podcast. This is your host, Shane Lawrence, and I am very glad to be here with you this morning as part of the Voice Ed Radio Marathon, the Radiothon. And of course, I am not alone because I'm too scared to do this by myself. So I am joined by two stalwart, wonderful educators from the wildlands of Australia. I've got Leanne Hanson.
Good morning, everyone. I hope it's not too terrifying for you.
I'm terrified, but that's okay. And from Ontario, Ramona Meharg.
Hello, everybody. Glad to be here and excited to frighten you with Leanne today. You're a brave man.
Yeah, I had no idea. I mean, when I was lining up, getting some co-hosts for this show, Leanne just said, on our DM stream that she's like, "You're in for a world of pain." And I was like, "Oh, what does that mean?" So, I guess we'll find out live. It seems like we've already been in for a world of pain with our flubbed opening, and I guess I broke the radio. So let's see what other kind of we can do.
You say that like it's the first time you've ever done that.
Like I've broken a radio?
Yeah.
It is. It's the first time for everything, and that was it. That was the first time I've managed to take Voice Ed off air using only the power of my voice. So I'm pretty excited about that. we'll try, see if we can do it again later. But for now, let's keep this thing rolling. Obviously, this is a bit of a different show because we are live on the Voice Ed Radio Marathon. First thing I want to point out is that Voice Ed is a community. It's something that is run by Stephen Hurley, but it also pulls in a whole whack of other educators from all over the country, all over the world. And that doesn't happen for nothing. Passion is great to keep things going. But it does also cost a little bit of money to keep the lights on, the lights of creativity as well as lights themselves. So if you would like to support the Voice Ed Radio community, you can just go to bit.ly/voiceedradio. And that'll take you to a GoFundMe page where you can throw in a little bit of cash to help make this community, keep this community, I guess, the wonderful place that it is. How's that? That sound good?
Perfect.
Sounds
Awesome.
Amazing.
I love your enthusiasm. This is fantastic.
It's 11 o'clock at night here. Come on. How enthusiastic can I be?
More coffee, Leanne, more coffee.
More coffee.
That's the cure for everything. Anyway, so we're going to be just sticking to the regular check-in format this time around. So we always start with wins and fails. Can we just dive right into that?
Sure.
All right. Anyone want to go first?
I think Leanne volunteered me.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I'm sure Ramona said she wanted to go first. She's good like
that. I can go first too. I'm the host, so I can be the sacrificial chicken if you want me to.
I could go. Yeah.
All right, do it.
Yeah. Do you want wins or fails first?
It can be one or the other, or if you have one of each, that's cool too. Whatever you like. I told you, we run a pretty loose ship around here.
Oh, so many jokes, Shane. So many jokes. Anyways, so maybe a fail. Fails were a bit harder. I tend to be pretty positive about my classroom. So I would say maybe a fail. I had a student this year who moves around a lot and has been to so many different schools and is very, very shy, and making a connection with him was very difficult for me this year. And he moved again at the very end of the school year, and I'm not sure I made that connection that I would have liked to make with him in the room. Now, wins, always lots of wins because we love what we do, right? So
yes, all the time.
Yeah, like I did a lot more PBL, lots more project-based learning this year, and the kids really responded well to that. And they were doing passion projects, and I had them doing the P3 like Noah does in the classroom. Yeah, they did a great job with that. We started some flexible seating so that kind of phasing it in. And in September, we're going to go all in on flexible seating. The desks are gone. So
Whoa.
it's a start of a win, and hopefully it will be a full win come September.
Okay, well, wait. Okay, so we gotta dig into that for a second.
All right.
No desks at all. So
No desks.
Okay, what grade is this?
This is a high school, but it's a congregated developmental education program. So
Congregated developmental. I'm sensing a big acronym there or something.
yeah.
But, so what does that mean? Oh my
So
gosh.
it means I have 10 students with a lot of developmental needs. I've got kids with Down syndrome, autism.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and so working academically, some of them like preschool to about grade 6 academically, but high school bodies, and some of them are very socially high school aged as well. So
Okay.
an interesting group. And we started with last year. I brought a couch in, and we had it at the side of the room, kind of as an area they could bring books to or work at quietly. And they wanted it brought more central, so we brought it more central. And then I had a chance to bring in a couple of pretty comfy chairs, and they brought that in. And then at the end of the year, they said they'd like a little bit more of that, because there weren't enough seats for all of them to sit comfortably, and the desks were getting in the way. So I decided, hey, let's pull the desks out. So the desks are gone. I brought in another couch, another couple of chairs, and we do have a couple tables at the back if they want that. But other than that, it's going to be full on flexible seating.
Wow, right on. I'm jealous of the couch thing. I mean, I've always kind of wanted a couch in the classroom, but I mean, I've seen other teachers who do it. And I mean, unless your couch is made out of cement.
Yeah, no, I'm lucky. I had one donated to me that's leather. So it's a little bit easier to clean, and the custodians are a little bit keener on that. So that was a good thing. Now, the couple of the chairs are a little bit old, but we can't damage them, right? They're solid 1960 destructible chairs.
Well, I should hope so. I hope so, because I've just always kind of stayed away from the thing. But that's cool. I'll give Leanne a little more time here for her win and fail. You can keep stewing, and I will go with mine. My win, we'll call it a win/fail. I think I'm starting to stick with the term "fwin." It's horrible, but whatever. Is actually getting some reading done this summer. Some actual, I've done some actual like fun reading, which I haven't done in a while, so that's been really good. But I've done some. That set myself up for some not fun reading. But I said, did some reading that actually relates to my job in a more direct fashion. I've been reading Improv for Storytellers, because I wanted to kind of bone up a little more on my improv. So Improv for Storytellers by Keith Johnstone has been really good. I also just had a great conversation with Eric Kallenborn. He's a comics heavy teacher out in Chicago, and I had him on the show for the second time. He shared his top 10 comics from the past year. He's been reviewing one graphic novel or comic every day for a year. And he shared his top 10. So I grabbed all 10 of them from the library, and I've read through 6 of them, I think, so far, and they're really good. So that's been, even though I don't teach English anymore, I still kind of need to itch that, like, what would be good for an English classroom kind of thing. So they're reading a bunch of those, and they're great. My fail has been, though, that there's the one book that was actually assigned reading from our principal, which was, and maybe you can guess why I haven't read it yet, based on the weakness of my own character, but it's called Pyramid of Behavior Interventions. And that's the one I haven't quite read yet. So, the name just kind of is like, oh my gosh, it's just, it kind of. Steven says that he has actually read that book, so now I feel even worse, because now Fearless Leader is like, oh, I've read it. What's wrong with you? But,
that anyway. Title actually sounds like some sort of Cirque du Soleil kind of thing. I'm just thinking, you're all naughty, make a pyramid.
Oh, are there trapezes involved?
Oh, that would be fun. In a flexible seating classroom, you could have trapezes.
Ooh.
I will make that as I'll suggest that at the first staff meeting of the year. It's like, what I thought of was behavior book. Here's what we really should be doing.
Maybe don't put that in your review of the book.
I don't know. My the guy who assigned it, our vice principal, he's actually, oh man, he is so funny. He's one of these guys where, I mean, every time he walks in the staff room, every time, like, maybe you don't, but like a lot of times when, the boss comes in the room, the conversation just kind of goes to a lull, because you're like, oh, the boss is here. We better not, say the things we were saying previously. But when he comes in, there's that same lull, but it's because we want to know what crazy story he's going to tell us, because every time he walks in the staff room, he's like, "Oh, guys, I was outside my house the other day and this blah, blah, blah." And it's just like the craziest, wackiest stuff. And like every time without fail, it's always something new. And it's just like, I can't believe my boss is sharing these stories. These are ridiculous. So if you're listening, you are, and your crazy stories are loved. So there you go. Leanne, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. I actually had a really cool win the other day. I've recently started a new job where I'm not in the regular classroom anymore. I'm basically going around the country doing workshops with primary school age kids to teach them how to plan a little bit better for their careers and things. So, earlier intervention than we have at the moment. And there was one kid there who was determined that he didn't really want to do anything with his life. He was grade 5, grade 6. Absolutely said, no, I've never had any idea. I'm completely hopeless. I'm never going to amount to anything, blah, 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 like kids do. And then I said to him, look, what do you really like doing? And he goes, I don't like really doing anything except playing with my Lego. And, designs and asking for people to participate in, building designs for space stations and all the really cool stuff. And he got stuck right into that. He just at the end of the lesson, he's like, I'm so inspired. I can't wait to go home and tell my parents I'm going to be a Lego builder. And I'm like, yeah, maybe don't lead with that, but still. It was really cool. And, I really hope he does it because he was so excited by it. But, it's nice to get those kids. But I do have a fail as well. And it's from a little while ago. I think you'll appreciate this, though. When I was teaching science, I had, you always try to set up your class so that if it's a really boring thing like doing a science research report or something like that, you want to try and make it so that it's something that's relevant to your cohort. And I had a cohort of, 15-year-olds who were a bit wild and whatever. So I said, okay, we have to do a research report into a disease, but I want you all to research into something sexually transmitted. So I got in the local health clinic nurse, and she had to talk to them about, various checks and contraceptions and all of that sort of stuff that you really do need to talk about 15-year-olds with 15-year-olds. And then they went away and did their report, and most of them were really, really good. But there was this one kid, and, there's always this one kid who he handed back his report, and I don't even remember what disease it was on. It was something oozy. And the thing that really got me is when, I said, you have to, what demographic does this affect most? And he said it affects women between the ages of 12 and 30. And I'm just like, how did that happen? How does it just affect 12 and 30-year-old women? He said, well, first of all, only women can get STDs. Secondly, it only affects people who are sexually active. I'm like 12 to 30, right?
Mm.
And then he says, and women can't get it after menopause. at 30. Yeah. So unfortunately, that kid I have to count as a fail because, yeah, that just blew me away. And I clearly had not done the teaching with that guy.
I am so sad I missed the first part of that. My browser actually crashed. I had to leave the session and come back in, but I guess this is the radio equivalent of just walking into one of those crazy conversations. But that sounds like a neat little experience you've had there.
Yeah, it was interesting. Yeah, 15-year-old disengaged youth are always quite amusing.
Yeah, there's it's the thing where you get access every now and then to their thoughts, and it's one part hilarious and one part terrifying because it's sometimes the things that they think they're just like, that's the most ridiculous thing I've ever heard, but then you're like, wait a minute, that's how you see the world, that's what you believe, and it's like, oh my goodness, and you're going out into the world and there's going to be no one to help you. So
I remember having one kid who wanted to join the army, or he was looking into joining the army, and he actually said, "But when you join the army, can you like go to the shops and all of that?" Like, it's not prison; you can go out. I don't know what he thought the army actually was.
you should have just let him go with it. You should have just been like, oh, no, you can't. Oh, every now and then I do that with a student. Like sometimes you get students that they're just not quite connected with the world around them. Reality doesn't quite seem to touch upon their thought processes. And every now and then, they'll ask a question that, is ridiculous. I don't want to say a dumb question, but okay, they ask maybe a dumb question. And
they're dumb questions.
And so, I'll be like, oh, fine, we'll just kind of go with this. And I'll go with it for, I'll give them a ridiculous response. And they're like, really? I'm like, yeah. But I can only do it for like 10 seconds because I'm like, nope, because they're going to walk out of this room and they're going to think that's real. They're going to think it's true. And
they're going to say, you said it.
Yeah.
Lord said.
Oh, well, it happened to me once. I remember just like making, I used to teach social studies and I made some sort of offhand joke about whatever. And then it started showing up a whole bunch on all, like I was doing a test and it started showing up in a whole bunch of kids' responses. I was like, oh no, what have I done? So yeah, I learned my lesson there. It's like, no, you can't mess with them like that because I mean, especially like when they're at the younger age. I mean, when they're teenagers, they don't listen to you at all. So it doesn't really matter. You can tell them whatever you want. But in grade 7, if you tell them, up is down, they're going to be like, oh yeah, okay, I'll write that down. So I'll write that up. Anyway, so yeah, I've learned over the years to be kind of cautious with that kind of thing. As much fun as it actually is, it's not professional or appropriate.
But you teach them that people are sometimes going to mess with them, and it's critical thinking skills.
Yeah. Oh, don't misunderstand. I spend plenty of my day being sarcastic, and all of that. Don't worry about that. But I'm cautious about spreading misinformation, and so if that moment ever arises, and I can see someone falling into it, unless a lot of times some classmates are like, no, you idiot, he's joking. That's not right. Right. But if that doesn't happen, if it's just silence and the kid, you can see they're just processing and just like slotting that into their mind. I'm like, nope, we got to pull that one out. Nope. Because
I remember reading some expert said, the worst thing teachers can do is use sarcasm in the classroom. I'm like, right. Okay.
Yeah. I've read that too. I'm just like, no. Yeah. That's a bunch of nonsense. Any sort of, I don't know, anytime I see a tweet where it's essentially something along the lines of all teachers or good teachers or every teacher, like anything like that, I'm just like, no, because that maybe for you, but not for me. And I mean, yeah, there's a certain, there's a box you have to be in terms of professional conduct and everything else, but man, there's a lot of room in there. There's a lot of room in there.
Yeah, and the relationship you build with them too, if they know that you are prone to maybe perhaps messing with them, then they enjoy trying to catch you messing with them. Yeah.
And the thing is, I know, too, like as an experienced teacher, you learn that certain kids you can mess with and certain kids you don't mess with. Yes. You become a quick judge of character and who, how to approach each kid. I mean, that's just part of being a human. Alongside of being a teacher. So,
and then if it's April Fool's Day, it's no holds barred.
Oh, all the way. I don't know. Okay. So do you have some experience with that? Because I mean, I
may have pulled a few pranks.
Yeah. I
think the best one we did was a couple years ago. I have an EA in the room and we had a really good group that year. And we told them that morning that the principal had come in and told us that there were some problems at another school and that we were being transferred as of the next day. That they were getting a supply teacher, someone they had before and didn't care for, and that teacher would be with them for the rest of the year, and that we were really sorry and all that, but that we need to go help this other school. And I think we kept him going for about an hour.
Wow.
Yeah, and then I had to walk out of the room a couple times to giggle, but after about the hour, the room was just silent. It was just somber, we had just canceled Christmas on them. And eventually we just say, oh gosh, guys, do you know what day it is? And then,
That's fantastic. But yeah, I guess the point when it starts to get, like, we got kids crying, it's probably like, not as
funny anymore. Nobody actually cried, but it was very somber for about a half hour there. And we're like, okay, we got to tell them the truth.
Yeah. All right. Well, we are just rabbit holing all over the place. I love it. But let's call this meeting to order. We have a main topic we're gonna talk about today. We want to talk about is school work? All right, we've been going for a while, and we haven't even made it to the main topic yet, but we're going to get to that in just a second. So let's take a break so I can tell you about LitFest. This happens October 11th to 21st in Edmonton and features dozens of events with writers from across the country and beyond, all sharing true stories and big ideas about culture and food and science and politics and lots more. Among the writers who are going to be there is award-winning poet Billy Ray Belcourt, musician and documentarian Dave Bedini, Rachel Giza, who's the author of Boys, What It Means to Become a Man, and yeah, lots more. If you want to get the whole list of everyone who's going to be there, just check out litfestalberta.org. Festival passes are only $129, and 4-packs and single tickets are also available, and you can get $5 off if you use the promo code APNROCKS. Get your tickets today at litfestalberta.org and use the promo code APNROCKS. All right, let's get to our main topic with me and Leanne and Ramona. Let's call this meeting to order. We have a main topic we're going to talk about today. We want to talk about is school work? And I'm not coming at this necessarily from like the teaching perspective. I mean, yes, because there's days, boy, it sure is work. But I mean, in terms of, we tend to treat school metaphorically like work. I mean, that's sort of the way we say, if you were handing this thing in late at, if this was your job, you'd be fired and that kind of thing. So this is frankly an idea that I stole straight from Brad Schreffler, because he was on, we did a show a while back, and that just kind of came up in conversation. I was really intrigued by that idea of is schoolwork. And if he's listening now, he's probably like, hey, you stole my idea. But I'm sure he's also listening intently because he cares about this kind of stuff. So.
And he's stolen ideas before, let's face it.
every episode, that guy is just steal. It's not an original.
It's just like, what's Shane doing this week? I'm going to get in first.
In all honesty, I stole one of his guests once, but he's stolen some of mine too. So there, not stolen.
Swings and roundabouts.
Oh, swings and roundabouts. Is that like an Aussie thing?
No, I'm pretty sure it's not.
I
can't claim it.
I've never heard that before. Swings and roundabouts.
I've never heard that either.
Yeah, we just say what goes around comes around.
Yeah, well, I guess, it's sort of similar thing. Yeah.
Yeah, I like it though. I love borrowing from other, not other languages, other cultures. That sounds terrible too. Cultural appropriation, but I love to have expressions from elsewhere. Let's put it that way.
Oh, I could tell you some really bad ones, but probably not on air. So,
like I said, anything goes on this show. I'm fine. You can do whatever you like. Okay, fine. Anyway, wow, we have. Okay, let's try this again. So we're talking about is school.
Were we being serious? Let's.
Well, I'm sure we've got a few serious thoughts in our head. Maybe, I don't know. Let's try it. Is school work? What comes to mind when I just toss that out there? Then.
Okay, work is a certain responsibility. Obviously, there's that quite serious connotation to work, and I think there's got to be an element of that in school as well, because obviously, once students leave school and that school environment, then we do expect them to go straight into employment of some sort.
Mm-hmm.
So, things like, adhering to deadlines and being responsible and all of those kind of things are, they're work skills that they're going to need, and we need to be embedding those in our practice, and not letting kids get away with far too much. But at the same time, they are still, they've got to be in a safe environment where they can fail and they know that they can, and the consequences are fair, but they're not necessarily, you're not going to get fired and end up on the street, that kind of thing. So yeah, there's got to be an element of work to it, but at the same time, there's got to be that play element where it's like, you're not really an adult yet. You're not, you don't have to make these decisions. Enjoy it while you can, basically.
I think though that there's, gosh, what I'm trying to say here, I feel like there's it feels a little bit dangerous.
It's your show, come on.
Yeah, but why do I have guests on? So I don't have to think, right? This is your job. This is what you've been hired for.
That's a lot.
I need a pay rise.
I will double your pay.
Double?
Excellent,
Done.
excellent.
I want triple.
Done. Done.
You're
It's
so
just-
greedy, Ramona.
Taxes, man, they're killing me.
Well, I wonder though. I mean, should we treat school more like work? I mean, that the classic example again, right? Is that when students, if they're not doing their work, you could, the traditional thing to say is, well, if this was your job, you'd be fired by now. And I mean, I like where I teach, anyways. I mean, the ability to say hand out zeros is an extremely fraught process. Extremely fraught. Like I've listened, in my travels through the interwebs, I have encountered other teachers talking about their zero policies and how that works. And believe me when I say that our policy is far more complex than anything that I've ever heard from other places. It's oh gosh, like an 8-step or 12-step process to assign a zero, involving multiple instances of communication with certain concerned parties and rescheduling things and all this sort of stuff. And so, I mean, I wonder, is there a workplace equivalent for that? I mean, if I don't get something done, does a letter get sent home to my parents and then we reschedule things? I mean,
kind of, yeah. Like I know that, a lot of in a lot of workplaces, particularly here in the public service, it's really hard to get fired. There's there's a lot of processes that you have to go through. Obviously, you have to have your verbal warning and your written warning, and employers do have to show cause why they're actually getting rid of you. But at the end of the day, there is a serious consequence for not doing that, and it doesn't really seem a very realistic thing to have so many steps to go through to assign a zero, when realistically, what are the consequences of getting a zero in school? Like, if it's not your final year and you're not going straight into university, what are the actual consequences?
Well, I mean, other than parental anger. There is, I mean,
shouldn't that anger be? Yeah, that anger is fairly rightly earned, I would think, if you're not doing enough work to even get a mark.
Yeah, but I mean, like for myself, where I teach, I mean, in junior high, you can fail by the numbers or the letters, but you can't actually fail to a point where you have to repeat something, right? That doesn't happen until high school, where I am, grade 10, 11, 12.
Yeah.
So there is really no at least until much later in their schooling, there is no ability even to fail with anything consequential, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
and going forward anyway.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, it's one of those things where I know for myself, like when I'm trying to get kids to hand work in and to hand work in to get stuff done, in the back of my mind, it's like I feel like I've just got this house of cards, because if they really figure out that it doesn't matter, in terms of actual progression through the education system, then I'm toast, right? So it's like I can't fire them, right? So school is not like work in that respect, because I can't. I mean, unless they show up for quote unquote work, drunk or high, or they beat somebody up or do something, illegal, then yeah, they can be fired. But in terms of actual work performance, it's not possible.
But do you think, Shane, like in the workplace, you're going to find people who aren't meeting their deadlines and aren't producing the way an employer would want, and yet there are lots of them around, and they don't stick around, and maybe that they don't actually, some of them don't get fired, that they're not in a job they love, and they end up looking for something else.
Oh, that's true. I mean, I mean, yet again, like as a student, when you're a student, you don't have a choice of I'm not going to be a student anymore. I'm going to be, well, whatever else. I'm going to be an engineer. So you're right. I mean, the workplace is a far more dynamic.
Yeah, like
kind of
in the workplace, you have more choices, right? You can choose not to be there. Whereas the students, it's not a choice. At least in Ontario, you got to be there till you're 18.
18. I don't know. I think it's. I want to say in Alberta, I think it's grade 10. So 16, 15. Yeah. So, but after that, you don't have to be there anymore. But yeah, I don't know. It's. So okay, here I guess here's where we're leading into. I mean, there's a real temptation to always define school as work, and I think there's similarities. There's also some dissimilarities. But I mean, what is school then? I mean, if we're trying to nail it down to like, is there a metaphor for it, or is school just school?
If we were bears or lion cubs or something
Oh, I
when
like
we're
where this is
young,
going. This is great.
we'd be learning from our parents, right? We'd be learning how to, through play, we'd be learning how to hunt and how to, stalk people, and some of us still learn that, and that's kind of fun. But
No, that's illegal.
but we'd be learning. Okay, maybe in your country.
Oh.
But anyway, no, stalking's not legal in Australia. Disclaimer. Just
She's just messing with you, kids. She's just messing.
This is going so well.
No, if we were wild animals, we'd be learning from our parents what was necessary to survive, right?
Mm-hmm.
Now, we have the wonderful distinction of being pretty much at the top of the evolutionary chain, and we don't have to, hunt for our dinner anymore. And that doesn't matter. So the thing that's got us to this top of the evolutionary chain is our brain, basically. So, and school is pretty much that opportunity to be teaching us how to use the brain properly so that we can actually, further the species and create something better for our children, and which doesn't seem to be happening right at the moment for some people, but that's the ultimate goal, isn't it, of actual speciation, is to perpetuate your genes plus make it a little bit better, So if we think of school as, I don't know, a proving ground or
a gene
training
improvement
ground,
program?
Yeah, let's go.
a breeding program?
Although some of those 15-year-olds in my old class probably, we shouldn't really say that to them. Check out your DNA and see.
Is it appropriate just to apologize to Voice Ed Radio, the entire community? We apologize.
It's their fault anyway.
They did give us the live platform, really.
That's right.
They had it coming.
Yeah, they were fairly warned.
Okay, sorry to interrupt. Anyways, you were saying.
So, bear cubs.
Yes, bears.
Yeah. And so if we think about, improving our brain and what that actually means for the species, then we need to really start rethinking. Obviously, we need to be constantly rethinking and reiterating what we do in school. But if we were still teaching, like if bears were still teaching their young what to do when there were no humans around, then they'd be well and truly extinct by now, right? So we're, still stuck in many cases in a system that is still educating for something that doesn't happen anymore. For something that, hasn't existed for 50 odd years, and we need to be catching up a lot faster, or we're not going to be furthering the intellectual species at all. We're going to be actually creating a serious underclass. I don't know about you guys. I grew up like dirt poor. My family is very working class. My father always had, minimum wage jobs. If he had a job, it was really lucky. And so education is the only thing that got me out of that.
Mm.
And, so it's something that I'm super passionate about. But I can see certainly in the last 10 or 15 years, this systematic dumbing down of the entire culture, and it's certainly not just Australia or the US or Canada or one particular country. It seems to be that we're systematically dumbing people down so that they're not questioning a lot of things that are going on. And I think that's a definite trend that needs to be reversed, not just in schools, but also in workplaces. So, you're not allowing yourself to be constantly taken advantage of, and we're not allowing the entire world to create an underclass that doesn't, that is massive but completely disempowered.
Oh.
And I think too, Leanne, when you're talking about, we're talking a little bit about work ethic too, like that was something that perhaps 50 years ago or 100 years ago, your parents taught you. I certainly remember my dad saying, "Oh no, you're not staying home today. That work, I'm going to work, and work is your job, and you're going to work." And that going to school was part of learning that work ethic, like that work is important and you need to do it. But I'm not sure.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm not sure that that's that's still the message a lot of kids get. And I don't know if it needs to be or it doesn't need to be with with changing economics and with the changing, like, the jobs that we do or that our parents did that will no longer exist.
Do you think we've got to the point where we take education for granted as a species? You know, that it's something that because successive generations have been in school and it's always been available to us, we tend to devalue it in that regard, and you know, we're not necessarily treating it with the respect that it actually deserves.
Oh, I'll jump in on that.
Yeah,
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, anytime I get a kid coming in, a room, which is every day, wanting, just coming in and just staring at the ceiling or, playing on their phone or whatever, but certainly not engaging in any way with their education. Absolutely. I mean, but that's just natural. That's just norm shifting, right? I mean, that's what happens with everything. I mean, when's the last time you flushed your toilet and said, wow, look at this, it's amazing, right? But I mean, think back to, 150 years ago, when that was not the norm, that would be quite the thing, right? And
I don't know. When I was in Australia, I did think it was amazing flushing the toilet and was going the other direction.
Oh, they all went backwards. Oh my goodness, yes. The Coriolis effect. Anyway.
What are you talking about? It goes perfectly the right way here. It's just you guys that are backwards.
I didn't say back. Oh, Shane said backwards. I didn't say backwards. I just said out of the way.
Actually, look, in all honesty, there's a great YouTube video I can share with you about the whole Coriolis effect. It's pretty wild. So I'll.
Is that the one on the equator?
No. It's by this guy named Destin. He has a YouTube channel called Smarter Every Day, and he actually.
Yeah, that's good job.
Yeah, I love it. It's like one of my favorites, and he's literally a rocket scientist. But he does all sorts of just investigative stuff just for fun. And he did this Coriolis effect thing, and he did it with himself and another YouTube channel. And they actually, you have to run both YouTube videos at the same time, and you stick them side by side on your desktop, and then they actually work in sync with each other. It's really cool.
Oh,
and
cool.
so they test the Coriolis effect in the northern and southern hemispheres. And it's all very carefully controlled, and turns out that it actually is a thing, but it's not nearly as pronounced as you think it is. So, I mean, for the most part, the way, water swirls in a toilet has much more to do with how the water enters the toilet and the shape of the toilet itself. So
what does the water do on the equator then? Is it just confused water, or?
I don't think it moves very much at all.
That.
Oh, go for it.
It goes straight down.
Straight down.
Straight down.
Yeah.
There you go. Cool. All right. Now that we've solved that,
we did learn something today.
According to YouTube videos, and they're always true.
Hey, you know what? Smarter Every Day is the gospel truth. That guy's awesome. He is he's my hero. One of. Anyway, how did we get here? Where were we? Where were we? Oh shoot. I know I'm the host and I'm supposed to be on this, but
school being exciting. Why it's still not exciting anymore?
Yeah. Okay. Well, you were talking a lot about like how we're not educating for the right things anymore, and so let me put you on the spot, because again, that's your job, and it's my job to put you on the spot. So what should we be educating for then, if not what we're currently doing? Because I mean, I feel like I'm doing an okay job so far. I don't think I'm creating an underclass, but.
No, I think individual teachers are doing excellent jobs. And that's very true. And I've never met any teacher who said, oh, no, I don't really give a damn about what happens to my kids,
Mm-hmm.
Individual teachers, I think, and some individual schools are doing excellent jobs. I just think that there is, that we can see it in particularly how close the world has become with social media and other internet factors. We can see this hating science and demanding that people with absolutely no credibility are given equal platforms, and as if their argument has the same weight as somebody who has years and years of study and evidence behind them, that kind of thing. That really concerns me, and that's something that. And I've actually seen it in the classroom. I've seen people say, and I've seen teachers say, oh, well, that's just somebody else's viewpoint. It's just,
Mm-hmm.
It's an equally valid opinion. And that really worries me.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's interesting. And even this morning, Stephen and his co-host, anyway, they were talking about echo chambers and the danger of that kind of thing. Right? And it's very easy to get involved with your own worldview, and as algorithms get better and better identifying the things that you believe and the things that you like, it gets harder and harder to break out of that, that feeling that what you think is the truth. And I often wonder what would happen, if Twitter or these other social networks actually rejigged their algorithms, or at least allowed you to have an option to say, I want to see different points of view on my timeline as well. But that would be, but I mean, for myself, that'd be really challenging, right? I know there's people like on Twitter that I have tweeted a bunch of stuff and I'm like, mute, or, same thing on Facebook. Like I have certain family members I don't follow. So I'm just like, I'm tired of reading your stuff. I don't like what you say. But maybe that's my own weakness. So, but bringing this back to school, right? I mean, this is the world our students live in. And this is what's, in this period of their lives where they're highly neuroplastic. This is the world they live in, where it's being constantly reinforced very strongly that their way of seeing the world is the right way. And that's a very reductive way to live. So, I mean, maybe that's one of the most important things about school, is that we need to be teaching our kids to evaluate and think for themselves, and to seek other perspectives. Because there's because there's nowhere else really. I mean, the media isn't interested in turning people away from their way of seeing things, right? Whether you tune into Fox or CNN or, I don't know, Aussie TV. I don't know what you guys have there, but
we've got television now. It's exciting.
Is it color?
Not all the time.
Only between the hours of like 4 and 6 p.m.
It's all BBC,
that's right.
It's all BBC rebroadcasts from the 50s, but it's black and white is nice.
Yes,
yeah, yes. We have Doctor Who with the old Daleks. It's terrific.
Oh wow. Okay. Anyways. It's amazing how quickly we can just go flying off the rails here. It's really impressive. I mean, I said I wanted to run things loose, but wow.
We warned you.
Do you know, like, any teachers who operate at a reasonable level who can manage to hold a thread of attention for a huge amount of time outside of the classroom?
I'd like to say I know a few, but I also would very readily admit that I am not one of them. Definitely not one of them.
I may know a few, but I'm probably not listening to them because I'm gone off on another thread.
Yeah, they're like, you're still talking about that?
That's it.
Yeah.
Tangents are fun.
Tangents are fun. Oh, but so yeah, the responsibility. Hey, look at me bringing it back. The responsibility of school.
Well done, host.
Oh, it's my gerb. To help kids explore other perspectives, and I mean that's even hard for me because I have my perspective, and Twitter says I'm right. So there's that as well.
If Jack's backing you, you know it's good.
If who?
The Twitter dude, isn't his name Jack?
Oh yeah, Jack. No, I got a bone to pick with him, man. Right now, because he's well, that whole thing with Alex Jones right now. But anyway, let's not go there.
Yeah, no, let's not go there. You're right that we reinforce our own opinions all the time, but I mean that's nothing new. When we're selecting like reading material for ourselves, to us old people who still read books that live on bookshelves and things. You don't voluntarily go and read something that is completely, not of interest to you. Or, I mean, I wouldn't deliberately go out and pick up a Dan Brown novel, for example, but, there's lots of people who do. So that's obviously lots of people who do. So that's terrific for them. But yeah, it's nothing new, except at school, you're supposed to be, that's where you're exposed to a whole stack of different experiences. And I mean, that's where you've got so much potential to encourage your students to become much more culturally aware. And, if you ask what we should educate for, and it's got to be critical thinking, number one of all things.
So, I mean, the only kind of, if getting back to the core topic here of is school work? I mean, the only kind of workplace that would reflect this kind of vision for education would be like a think tank. I mean, that's really, and maybe that's where this needs to be, right? Is that school, in a lot of ways, just needs to be a think tank.
Yeah, because in the workplace, you're probably not going to last long if you are constantly espousing your own opinions only.
Especially if they're counter to whatever place you're working.
Especially if they're counter to, yes, to the culture of your company or your workplace.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Although, isn't that also your responsibility as an employee to contribute to continuous improvement in the workplace?
Yes.
Yes, but at the same time, if the CEO or the boss is espousing something else and you're publicly espousing against what the company line is, I mean, you're probably either going to be fired or things are going to change rapidly for you, or you're going to continue to push your opinion, but somewhere else.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well,
You're going to walk somewhere else and go to an environment that is more open to your opinion.
yeah, you're Edward Snowden, basically.
Yeah.
But I mean, that can be a good thing too. But I mean, but let's boil it down to the idea that we want our students to be independent thinkers, right? We want them to think for themselves and seek out. Gosh, I was about to go really weird there, but I mean, I was going to say like seek out justice, seek out truth, right? I mean, those are pretty heady ideas, but I guess, I mean, why not, right? Let's.
I just went all Star Trek when you started that. To seek out new civilizations.
I went to Superman, so
To boldly go. Yes.
Go where no man.
something with tights.
Where no one, Ramona,
No
where no
one.
one has gone
The
before.
original was no man,
Yeah.
but
But
we've corrected.
we've grown out of that. We've grown past that, right?
Yes.
Yeah. I know whenever I hear it, I just think, oops, split infinitive.
Yes.
That's the bottom. Anyway.
That Captain Kirk, he was always chasing that split infinitive.
Is that what they called them?
Yeah, that's exactly what they called them.
Oh my goodness. Oh my
He
goodness.
talked like a typewriter.
I love William Shatner.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Oh, it's so cool.
I think his personal life is probably a little bit of a mess, and that's, that is what it is. But I love William Shatner. Like he actually released an album like, I don't know, 10 years ago, like another one. Like I know everyone knows his first one, but he actually released a second one. And he did it with Ben Folds, who's like one of my like musical superheroes.
Oh, I love that guy too.
Oh, do you? Okay. Well, then you should check
Yeah.
out William Shatner's second album. It's called Has Been, and it's so good. It is so good. Yeah, and because all the music is by Ben Folds, and
Oh,
it's
I just love that he doesn't care. Like William Shatner does not really care what anyone thinks about him. He just does his own thing, and that's admirable.
it is pretty cool. Yeah, it is definitely.
Yeah, which if you think about it, that's something we want to teach our kids too, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bring it.
There you go. The
I'm not
William
even the
Shatner
host.
curriculum.
I'm not even the host, and I'm bringing it back.
Right on. Well done. Well, again, I said that's why you're on here, is to just
I want that to be a thing. I so want the William Shatner curriculum to happen.
Yeah.
this is it. This is it. This is ground zero, right here on Voice
That's
Ed
it.
Radio. The birth
This
of the
is the
William Shatner
revolution.
curriculum. But he's Canadian, so I mean, there's that connection already. It's a natural fit.
But not the
Yeah. Why has nobody thought of it?
Not the cheesy 60 uniforms though. I don't think we should bring those back.
The 60s uniforms?
Yeah, like the gold Lamar.
Well, what would you suggest? Like the 90s pajamas? Like that wasn't a whole lot better.
Not true. Yeah.
I mean, at least at least the uniforms are getting a little more like equitable across gender lines now, which is nice. Like you don't have like they don't have to wear like mini skirts and that kind of thing. So that's cool.
We could all
Radio
just wear
silence.
kilts. That'd be
Let's
fine.
all wear kilts.
Star Trek kilts.
Oh.
Okay, this is this is
Do
just
they
the
come in
weirdest
funky
thing.
colors? Because this is sounding interesting.
Okay, let's just pause for a moment and imagine someone's actually tuning into Voice Ed right now, just getting ready for the next show and just coming in on Star Trek kilts.
Oh
This
crap! I am the next show, man.
Oh, you are right. Okay. Hey, we only got 10 minutes left. Let's jump into wins and fails and see if we can exit somewhat
Hang on,
gracefully.
did we do wins and fails?
Not wins and fails. Timeouts. Sorry, did I say wins
Let's
and
do
fails?
timeouts.
Let's do
Let's do
time.
timeouts. So
Yeah, of course
timeouts,
you
for
do.
those who don't know, is just basically something we've experienced in recent history that has given us a bit of relaxation or enjoyment that has nothing to do with teaching or education. And a pox on you if you choose some sort of teachy education-y thing and say that's your timeout break, because no, it's not.
No, it's
So can I start? Because
Sure.
I'm ready.
Your show,
Usually,
man.
yeah, well, I know, but I like to be gracious and stuff. But I mentioned way back at the start of the show that I've actually read some like fun books, and seriously, it's been 2 years since I've read a fun book. Like I'm kind of addicted to nonfiction, just because that's the way my brain works. I like to learn stuff when I read, but I found out about this author. Her name's Claire North, and she's sci-fi literature, I guess. Like it's not bubblegum sci-fi. It's like it reads like a serious book. I don't know how to put that, but you know what I mean. Anyway, so there's one of her books is called The First 15 Lives of Harry August, and I just tore through it, and it is such a fantastic read. So if you're into like it's a really solid narrative story, but it does have sort of a very sort of sci-fi kind of twist to it. It's a great read about a guy named Harry August. How about that? And he's basically, he relives the same life over and over again, but all the memories of his previous life stay intact. So he'll live his life, he'll die, and he'll be born again, the same person, at the same time. So he's always living within that same time period, but accumulating all this knowledge and all this wisdom as he goes forward. And it's a really cool book. So
That sounds awesome.
it is awesome. And I'm actually reading another book of hers right now called 84K, which is sort of a dystopian bit of literature. And it's also really enjoyable. I'm only about 100 pages into that one. But yeah, I would strongly recommend the First 15 Lives of Harry August. That was my timeout.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I read a cool book. I was really excited. I finally caught up with, I am a massive science fiction and fantasy reader, and I'm not a massive reader. I just read a lot of them. I'm not that huge, but anyway, just to be pedantic. I read finally, I got around to reading the Patrick Rothfuss's Name of the Wind, which everybody'd been telling me was super amazing, and he's only written the 2 books out of a trilogy, and it's really frustrating because you know how you get to like the last of the second book and you're just waiting forever and ever for the third one. But anyway, so I read that and I was so excited because the whole thing, it's quite high fantasy, but it's very, very clever, fractured narrative and, you know, embedded sort of stuff. And it's so poetic and just gorgeous. And I've really missed like really rich prose in, I don't know if you've found like this trend in writing lately to kind of minimalize everything and, you know, make it a little bit like a series of Facebook posts and get rid of description and, you know, let's kill all passive voice, kill all descriptive passages, kill all abstractions and whatever, and just have it like, you know, you're just reading
very sparse.
Yeah, and it's so rich and gorgeous, these books. So I was so excited. I finally got my hands on one, and I read the both of them in the same week, and now I'm just hanging out for the next one. So yeah, that's my time.
Fantastic. Ramona, how about you?
You guys went all cerebral, and all I'm thinking about is beer.
Well, that's because that's my usual timeout, right? I usually do video games and beer. So it's all good.
Yeah, so for me, I guess the timeout lately, I did a lot of work on that workshop last week, and so on Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, kind of checked out of the educational world, and we went golfing, and we were trying craft beers, and the craft beer that I'm enjoying most right now is from Cowbell Brewery, which I kind of love the name because we all need more cowbell, right?
More cowbell.
Absolutely.
Cowbell. So the Cowbell Brewery's in Blythe, Ontario, small place, great brewery.
Blythe?
And yeah, Blythe, Blyth, I believe, Blythe, Ontario. So
okay, I'm actually writing this down right now because I'm a big beer fan. So go ahead.
Yeah, so Cowbell Brewery, and they have some great stuff. I'm not big on the IPAs, but yeah, some really good stuff coming out of there. You can go and take a tour and have lunch. It's very popular apparently, but you can get it. We can get it in the in our local special beverages store.
So any particular brew from that brewery that you'd recommend?
Oh, which one's my favorite?
Ooh.
You know what I love about craft beers when you go to these places is they bring out a paddle of beer. It's like a smorgasbord of beer.
Oh yeah, yeah. I love a good beer flight.
And you just try them all, right? Just trying to think which one was really great last week.
Yeah. I'm just trying to think of like, you know, seeing as we're talking beer here, I'm trying to think, what have I had this summer? I actually had a craft beer from this Dutch brewery, and it was actually not very good at all. I was really disappointed. But
Steven, should I be?
You got something?
I actually feel really bad because I'm the worst Australian. I don't even like beer.
What?
I know. I'm so sorry. But you'll like this. There's a local
Steven,
company, the Burley Brewing Company, and they make a beer called My Wife's Bitter.
Oh, now I remember the name. It's Shindig. Your beer Shindig, I think, is the favorite one. Shindig, which is also kind of a cool name because
that is an awesome name for a beer.
I love that word. I just love the word shindig. It's a great one.
Yeah. I got another one called Absent Landlord. It's not bad either.
I like it.
Do you ever just buy beers simply on their name alone? Because I know I've done that.
Or how the if you're buying it in the can, what the can looks like, what their logo looks like, you know?
Oh, yeah.
Like I live near St. Thomas, so we have the Railway Brewing Company, and they have one called Dead Elephant because Jumbo was killed in St. Thomas, so they named their beer the Dead Elephant. And then they have a super IPA that comes out once a year. I don't know if it's double the IPA and it's like double Dead Elephant. Like the first Dead Elephant was enough. We're gonna double down. We're double Dead Elephant.
Classy.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, I honestly just did a quick little check, and Cowbell's not available in Alberta.
Oh.
Yeah.
How about Railway Brewing?
You'll just have to
Dead
travel.
Elephant?
All right. Well, we'll commiserate more on beer later. I think we're about to get the well-deserved giant cane pulling us off the stage here. So, Stephen, I guess if you are listening, and I assume you are, somebody might be listening to this. I don't know. We're all set to go here, my friend. You want to play us out? That's great. Yes, it worked. Ramona and Leanne, thank you so much for being on the show.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, have a great next show, Ramona.
Thank you. Gotta go.
Okay.
Hey, bye.
Bye. All right, listeners, if you want to get in touch or you'd like to be a guest on the show, you can email me at theedpodcast@gmail.com or hit me up on Twitter at theedpodcast. If you want to listen to more of this stuff, you can head over to the website, theedpodcast.podbean.com, or you can find us on Apple Podcasts. Just search up Ed Conversations. Ed is a proud member of the Alberta Podcast Network powered by ATB. You can find this and all other member podcasts over at albertapodcastnetwork.com. Ed can also be heard on Voice Ed Radio. It's 24-hour internet broadcasting devoted to the best ideas in education. Just head over to voiced.ca. So, on behalf of myself and Ramona and Leanne, thank you so much for listening, and we'll catch you next time.